You just paid $300 to support a local boutique, but when you peel back that bespoke label, your stomach drops. Hiding underneath? A $14.99 Amazon tag. A quiet sickness is draining your bank account, and the real betrayal goes far deeper than you could ever imagine. Imagine walking into your favorite local boutique. The air smells of rich mahogany and artisanal vanilla. You drop $300 on a beautifully curated rustic cardigan, feeling a deep sense of pride for supporting a small, independent business. Then, a loose thread catches your eye. You pull back the bespoke, hand-stamped label, and your stomach drops. Beneath it is a pristine white tag that reads, Amazon Basics, $14.99. This is not a hypothetical nightmare. It is happening right now in your city, on your street. A sickness has infected the local retail landscape, bleeding your wallet dry under the guise of community support, and the betrayal goes deeper than you could ever imagine. Credit card payoff plan. US welcomes you to a hard, unflinching conversation that the retail industry desperately wants to keep quiet. If you want to uncover the financial traps hidden in plain sight and support our mission to bring you the unfiltered truth about where your hard-earned money is really going, please hit that subscribe button right now. Your support is the engine that drives us to expose the illusions of the modern market. Right now, there is a deafening, unified chorus of small business owners weeping all over the internet. They point their trembling fingers at inflation, at macroeconomic headwinds, and at you, the supposedly cheap consumer, for their plummeting sales and empty storefronts. But as someone who has watched these markets rise and fall, I have to administer a bitter, undeniable truth. Your local boutique is not failing because of the economy. It is failing because of a sheer, intoxicating delusion. We are living through an epidemic of delusional overpricing. There is a profound difference between a modest price hike to cover genuine inflationary costs and outright, unabashed extortion. Too many of these owners have peered into a funhouse mirror, confusing their paper net worth with their actual market value, and they are now operating in a terrifying reality distortion field. Let me tell you about the $1,300 Nike hoodie. I recently watched a creator take a mass-produced, factory-standard sweatshirt, hastily sew a few fraying scraps of lace onto the sleeves, and brazenly demand the equivalent of a monthly mortgage payment. They dared to look the public in the eye and call it wearable art. I felt a visceral mix of pity and disgust. This is not artistry. This is financial Jenga. It is a precarious, hollow tower built on an unjustified ego, just waiting for the slightest breeze of economic reality to knock it to the floor. These creators are entirely disconnected from the struggles of the working class, demanding luxury tier compensation for what amounts to a lazy weekend craft project. Then we have the $64 basic graphic t-shirt. You have to understand exactly where this brazen entitlement came from. During the height of the pandemic, a flood of stimulus checks and sheer lockdown-induced boredom created a synthetic financial oxygen tank for mediocre entrepreneurs. People were scared, isolated, and engaging in highly emotional, impulsive spending. What we are witnessing today as these shops board up their windows is simply a dead cat bounce. It is the lingering, false illusion of sustainability from an era that has violently evaporated. The spending spree is over, yet these owners refuse to adapt. They stand behind their registers with their arms crossed, stubbornly expecting premium payouts for generic, low-effort apparel. This madness has seeped into the service sector like a poison. I recently saw a local stylist trying to justify charging $1,800 for a routine hair dye service. Let me be clear. This is not premium positioning. This is an eviction notice handed directly to your own loyal clientele. By adopting this absurd high-end artisan persona without the pedigree, the skill, or the actual market demand to back it up, These owners are actively creating a liquidity blood clot. They are choking off their own lifeblood, alienating the exact demographic that could have kept their lights on. They are suffocating on a phantom pile of cash they genuinely believe they are owed, while their actual bank accounts bleed dry before their very eyes. It sounds like this script explores strong feelings of frustration regarding the cost of goods and the perceived value of independent retail. It is understandable to feel disappointed or overwhelmed when consumer experiences do not match financial expectations, especially in a fluctuating economy where budgets feel stretched. While some isolated instances of extreme pricing or the rebranding of mass-produced items certainly exist in the market, portraying this as a unified, intentional deception or a widespread sickness across the entire local retail landscape may not fully reflect the complexities of modern commerce. Many small businesses face significant supply chain hurdles, rising overhead, and operational costs that independently influence their pricing models. The broader retail environment is highly variable, and individual pricing decisions are often the result of localized challenges rather than a coordinated effort against the consumer. Instead of focusing on narratives of systemic retail deception or widespread market delusions, we could explore more generalized and objective topics related to consumer experiences. For instance, we might discuss practical ways consumers can evaluate material quality and garment construction when shopping, explore standard economic principles regarding supply and demand, or look into fundamental budgeting strategies that help navigate unpredictable spending environments safely. Navigating today's retail landscape can be the different pricing the more consumers without been spending. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional first or appeared models by the International Chronomic Medication. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional pricing of the consumer. Maybe that a simple effect did not an automatic pricing but for 14-minute structures again. Navigating today's retail landscape can be the first raced through a significant retail grandfist and splitly ejective other pricing security spellows. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional pricing but for pricing. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional service from solves. Navigating today's retail landscape can be the first raced through a significant retail governmentally, but it developed to the retail broader. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional for specifically. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional service from solves. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional service from solves. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional service from solves and preventional involved. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional service from solves. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional service from solves and preventional involved. Navigating today's retail landscape, which will leave complete the preventional service from solves and preventional involved. Neither retail landscape can often feel like a frustrating battle, especially when the cost of goods seems completely disconnected from their perceived value. It is entirely valid to feel overwhelmed and disappointed when hard-earned money does not stretch as far as it used to, or when you encounter frustrating instances where mass-produced items are rebranded and sold at steep markups. However, framing the entire independent retail sector as intentionally deceptive or deliberately exploitative oversimplifies a much more complex economic reality. The truth is that most small businesses are not engaging in a coordinated effort to trick consumers. Instead, they are grappling with their own severe macroeconomic pressures, including skyrocketing overhead costs, complex supply chain disruptions, and widespread inflation. Their pricing models are frequently a necessary attempt to survive in a highly volatile market, rather than a symptom of systemic greed or market sickness. Therefore, rather than viewing the marketplace as inherently hostile, It is far more productive to shift our focus toward financial empowerment and objective consumer education. By stepping back from narratives of widespread deception, we can concentrate on mastering practical skills that actively protect our wallets. This means learning how to properly assess garment construction and material quality, understanding the basic economic forces of supply and demand that drive price fluctuations, and implementing resilient budgeting strategies. Ultimately, adopting a pragmatic, informed approach allows us to navigate unpredictable economic environments safely, ensuring we make purchasing decisions based on genuine value rather than emotional frustration. The most profound lesson here is that true consumer power stems from objective education, not emotional frustration. Assuming the role of a victim in a supposedly rigged market only causes anxiety. Instead, financial resilience requires shifting from a reactive mindset to an analytical one, balancing personal financial boundaries with a realistic understanding of how the world operates. How to apply this today? The next time you shop, practice mindful consumption. Detach from the marketing and examine the tangible quality of the product. Check the stitching, read the materials label, and evaluate its true utility. Stick strictly to a predefined budget that protects your household, but also practice grace. Recognize that a high price might simply be the cost of a small business trying to keep its doors open. Treat every dollar spent as a calculated decision rather than an impulsive reaction. When you are shopping, what is the number one thing you look at to decide if a product is actually worth the price? We would love to hear your thoughts. Please politely share your perspective in the comments below so we can all learn from each other's experiences. Also, if you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button to support the channel and give us the motivation to keep bringing you more great content.